Hello again, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Noble Father podcast. Today is October the 13th of 2024. It is actually Thanksgiving here in Canada. And and I forget, I'm your host, Theophilus, and great to have you with me. This podcast is one in which I talk about my life, things that I encounter in life, what are things that I'm going through, and just share really from the heart, right? And hopefully people walk away with something for themselves. And, by no means am I the perfect father or what have you, but, I do try my best, and that's really all that I can do. Given that it's Canadian Thanksgiving, there's a lot of things on my heart that I want to get off. A bit of heavy stuff that has happened in the last few days. First and foremost, I'll just say that today is Sunday. Tomorrow's a holiday for my family, and so I thought I'd just get on and record right now. But thing about Thanksgiving, and it's something that our pastor today talked about in church, is like, when we focus in on things that, are problems, right? The things that we encounter in life, let's just say it's health, relationship struggles, business, maybe legal, right? It's very easy to hyper focus in on these things and forget that, there's so much to be grateful for. And usually in those situations, you really have to just raise your awareness to those things that you are grateful for. And it's not like those things aren't there. It's just our awareness is not picking them up. It's very similar to and I say it's like the reticular activating system, is that, let's just say you're in the market for a car, right? A certain car, let's just say it's a Tesla, right? You suddenly will start seeing them all over the street. You'll see them everywhere. You'll be like, wow, there's one. Oh, wow, there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one. And it's really just your mind is picking up on the fact that they're there. It's not that there's more Teslas around you. It's just that your awareness, is picking them up. You're starting to see them and notice them more. Another thing that, really, whenever I was, about to become a father myself, I recall suddenly seeing like strollers everywhere and kids getting their diapers changed and mothers breastfeeding, and like they're just everywhere. And I was in China at the time, and so I was like seeing, it was almost like everybody was having kids, like just, but in reality it's like those were always around. They're always there. It's just that your awareness was raised to them being there. And so in those difficult situations that you face, the challenges that you're facing, whatever they may be, it's very easy to overlook the things that you're thankful for. Case in point, about Friday, I had a message on my phone, a notification from the car saying that a 12-volt battery on our vehicle is needing to be replaced. For those that don't know, I drive an electric vehicle, and that 12-volt battery runs certain functions like opening the door, and there's other things. And so one of the things they say is not to recommend you driving the vehicle, because there's a chance that you could get locked out and the battery will die when you're out, and you'd be locked out or locked in. So you can imagine if with kids having the car locked in, it would be bad. We'd have to smash a window and something. We'd have to probably get the car towed, what have you. And so, we took the recommendations and we didn't drive the vehicle. We left it in the garage, and it's such that, I don't have a second vehicle. We had to walk. And so, this morning we went to church. We had to walk, take the bus. And that was quite an experience. 5 minutes into that journey, you're kind of like, wow, I really miss having a car. I really appreciate what a car can do. And so, in that moment, you're kind of like very thankful, right? Thankful to God that we have a vehicle. Of course, it's out of commission, but how many things do you take for granted that you can actually be greatly thankful for? Just think about it, right? Just this podcast. I have a roof over my head, right? I have health, good health. I can stand up, I can walk, I can breathe. Like my nose is not plugged, like simple things like that. I'm not injured, right? I have good health, right? Good mind, right? I can form an opinion. I can speak, right? I can say words. I can dictate. I can internalize. There's so many things that we can be grateful for. It's not that God doesn't have things for us to be grateful for. It's just that our awareness of it is just not there. And one of those things, that the pastor shared was really like taking your mind captive, right? Taking your thoughts captive, right? And making them obedient. This past week I'm going through some kind of legal thing with this business owner. And when you feel that you're mistreated, it's very easy to, go to some dark places. Our minds are ones in which when we feel like we are being infringed upon or somebody is treading over us, that, you get very vengeful. And the things that you think about, some of which can be it's not love, right? It's not good thoughts. Let's just be real. And you hyper focus in on that, and it was very dangerous for me, right? Because when you entertain those thoughts, and and I think back to like anybody else with this kind of information would probably carry out these things that I'm thinking about, or not anybody else. It's probably somebody out there who would be willing to carry out, those kind of thoughts. And I know that if you stew on that, sit on that, and you let it have space, right? It'll take a foothold, and who knows what you can do, right? As difficult as it may be. What I recommend my fathers all the time, and it's something that I hold on to right now too, as I'm thinking about this whole scenario, is that truth ultimately prevails. And not going to a certain person's level, and keeping your integrity and your wits about you, is how you win these battles. It's amazing, got to church today, and the songs they're singing is like God fights our battles, right? And I'm not, those aren't my battles to fight. And so, really relinquishing that and giving up that control to God is something that I've been really working on, because I really can't control it. There's really nothing I can do about it. And if this person really wants to come after me, that's something that I was thinking about over the week too, of like, when David writes in the Psalms and in Proverbs or whatever, he's like talking about my enemies, right? He says my enemies. And, I'm thinking in my head, like, my enemies, like what does that mean when he says that, right? We know that the God of the Old Testament is one in which very vengeful, right? Vindictive, right? Obviously he's given the opportunity for those people to change, but when they don't, it's like, well, there's nothing we can do. So I was thinking and mulling over, what does that mean? My enemies, right? He's not saying God's enemies. He says your enemies as well, I guess. And so, just chewing on that, what does that mean? And would I consider this person my enemy? And one of the hardest things to do is really pray for somebody who's out to get you, somebody who's out against you and wants to hurt you, wants to take your livelihood, right? And you're doing what you feel is best in the moment, and though it comes back to haunt you, you don't regret the decision, right? You feel like you made the right one. And it's been a bit of a train wreck. It's a developing situation, and I really don't know how to go about it. If that sinful nature of mine, if I didn't know God, I didn't have a relationship with God, I would probably do something that would be very regretful, and would probably set me back and make it worse than it really needs to be. And so, really just letting it go. Exodus 14:14, right? God's fighting on our behalf, and we only have to be quiet, right? Be silent. And so I'm learning to be silent. And so, I want to encourage you, is like, no matter what you're going through, right? Know that God is fighting on your behalf, and know that truth ultimately prevails. Being noble and standing firm in that nobility is what is going to win the day. And, it's beautiful because, I have examples of that in my community. Multiple fathers who have their kids taken away for, false allegations, fraudulent allegations from their ex-partners. And the courts see right through it, right? Dads that are willing to be there for their kids, fighting tooth and nail to fight for their kids, and the courts recognize it. And so we had multiple fathers have their cases dropped against them, not being able to see their kids for weeks on end, and finally reunited with their kids. Or dads even getting protection orders against people who are harming their children. It's an amazing week of victories that we've had. And everybody struggles in their own way. And I got other fathers who are still in the thick of it, still going through it. And it's not an easy thing. And so, in your life, whatever you're going through, please take this as a reminder that though you might hyperfixate on the pain that you're going through right now, you might feel it so strongly right now, is that if you zoom out only even a little bit, you'll realize that there's so much in life for you to ultimately be grateful for. And really, that's my message today on this podcast, is like, look for things to be grateful for. Raise that reticular activating system for those things around you that God has placed in your life that you could be grateful for. Hey, having Thanksgiving, notice that your mom and dad are across the table in good health, laughing and enjoying themselves. That's something to be thankful for. Noticing that your children are having a blast, smiling and laughing and giggling, something to be grateful for. The air that you breathe, grateful for. Living in a free country, something to be grateful for. Get to drive a vehicle, man, something to be grateful for. You got money in your wallet, you're already better off than a lot of people on the planet. That's another thing to be grateful for. There's so many things that God has placed around us that is always happening. It's always around us. It's not because there's more of it. It's because your awareness is not paying attention to it. And so I want to raise your awareness to that this week. Pay attention to what's out there. See how many things you can count that you could be grateful for, and see how truly blessed that you are. And so, if you're a father that's listening to this and you want to have community and find membership and friendship and accountability and masterminding through life, I'd encourage you to check out our membership community. We call it the Noble Father Fortress, and it's really a space for fathers to just grow, right? Fathers are a priority. When in this world, a lot of them don't believe they are, and they feed themselves with just the crumbs that are left over from their family, and it doesn't leave anything good for their children, right? If we really truly want to give the best to our children, we would provide and take care of ourselves to the best of our ability first, and then fill our children's cup from a full cup rather than giving them what's left over. And that's truly what the Noble Father Fortress is. And we try to make investing in yourself as a father as low barrier as we can. Yes, it requires you to invest your money to develop, but your value and what you're worth in your family is worth way more than the cost of a membership. And so I also want to announce that, you're able to sponsor a father. If you're looking to sponsor somebody that you know, a father that you know, you can also reach out to me and I can send you the information about that. You're able to sponsor this father, and this father would be able to be in there, attend our meetups, check out our channels, take part in retreats, take part in masterminds and accountabilities. There's a lot of things that I'm working on right now to roll out as well as additional value adds. And that's just another way to continue feeding what I think is the most important work that anybody can do. And I've kind of developed this new way of calling my business, and it's one of generational development. That is what I am doing, and that is my industry. What I'm doing is generational development, because it's not just feeding one father, helping one father, because in helping one father, I'm helping a child. I'm helping multiple children. I'm helping their children's children. And that's really what I want this to be. I really want this to spiral out of control and really just kick off a ripple effect that sends, positive things, positive changes down the generational lines. And so, as always, thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to share this with other people who need to hear a message of gratitude, need to renew their perspective. And just remember that we are not promised tomorrow. So be present and stay noble. Bye for now.